Hi, everybody.
Hello. What's going on? British Columbia. All right, guys, we're going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on here. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody's had a great day today.
I haven't read this to you, but it's good. Where's everybody? North Carolina, Victoria, Texas, California.
Had some British Columbia, Canada, Kentucky, New Jersey. Saw Pensacola a little while ago, Pennsylvania, Fort Hood. Y'all can keep me updated with the score tonight. I took my night away from my football weekend to be here with you guys. That's how much more special y'all are. Virginia, I'm an Eagles fan. Oh, yeah, they're playing tonight. Hurts needs to throw about 4 touchdowns. See if he can match Tua, get 6. Meridian, Mississippi, the Bronx, North Carolina,
Bahamas,
Albuquerque,
Vegas, Dallas, Boston,
Savannah, Tennessee,
Maryland,
Memphis, Texas. I didn't know there was a Memphis in Texas.
Yeah, there is. We have someone asked if we need more green slips. I think we have plenty. We got a huge box from someone the other day.
No, thank you for whoever sent those.
We have the name. I can't remember off the top of my head right this second, but thank you. Spring, Texas, Denton, Colorado, Indianapolis, Florida, Richwood, Texas, Kansas, West Palm Beach,
Sad, isn't it?
Little Rock, Arkansas, Vermont, Georgia,
South
Shreveport,
Carolina.
Louisiana, Mexico. Now there's Memphis,
There's
Tennessee.
a Memphis, Tennessee. There we go. Katy, Texas. Jackson, Tennessee. Naples, Florida. Childress, Texas. Northern Mexico, London. Did you go to the funeral today? See the Queen? Pay your tributes.
No, we haven't moved. We're in the same house, different location. Our office is too full, so we moved back to this area for tonight.
Yeah, Jim. I was talking to my dad this weekend, and I think Georgia's the real deal again this year. Unless Alabama plays better, I don't see anybody beating them. Kind of sad on my part.
Yep. Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Houston, Texas. Montgomery, Alabama.
Bama would come.
Well, we're a little bit of a house divided because I'm an Aggie. So any Aggies in the group, gig them.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right, if you'll go with me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time together. We ask that you speak to Drew and I and through us to get the message that you would have everyone to hear tonight, as this is not about us, but about you. And we thank you for gathering us all together to bring like-minded people together to make a difference in this world that is very, very dark. And Lord Jesus, we just ask that as we continue to move in this movement, we all know that it is in your time, not in our time. And we ask you to use us as vessels in this dark world and be a light for you and your kingdom, in Jesus' name. Okay, with that being said, I guess I want to start. Someone sent this. Oh, gig 'em, yay. It's not just me. Someone sent this to me, and I wanted to share it. I haven't shared it with Drew either, but I thought it was pretty cool and very, very much about where we are. So the title of it is "It Couldn't Be Done" by Edgar Albert Guest in 1917. And it says, somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it." But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just start in to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. So it kind of really applies to where we are. I feel like, in the 1099-A process, we have people that want to see it fail. We have people that, give misinformation and try to say bad things are going to happen and bring negativity into the group. And we have to continue to just know that God has our back. We don't have the timing of that. We don't have, we don't have all of the answers. We are out here doing what we've been called to do. But at the end of the day, we're not the treasury. We're not the ones giving funds. We're not the ones that are in control. God is. And so we don't have any updates to give you as far as funds are here or any further update on when they're going to be here other than what we've told you. But with full transparency, it's in God's time. And, sometimes I believe that God wants us to educate and know how to use the assets that he provides. And maybe he's waiting for for us to further educate so that we know how to handle those assets when they come. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of people that, and I understand this very much so because I was a single mom and I worked multiple jobs back in the day. And I believe that even if we lay down at night and we take 10 or 15 minutes to read something that is going to give you further knowledge, then you're doing a little bit to help educate yourself on things that you didn't know. And unfortunately, we were indoctrinated into a system that taught us the wrong way. And to unknow what we've known all of our lives and have to reteach us and relearn is very difficult, but everyone has to do their part, because I'm very old school in the way that I was raised. And if you can't somewhat help yourself, you can't depend on everyone to do it for you. And we have a lot of people that just don't even want to simply read the ebook that we put out there with step-by-step instruction, much less learn any further things besides just this process, because it's not just about this process, it's about freedom. And there's a lot of things that we don't know about the freedoms that have been taken from us. And so I encourage everyone to, while we wait, we continue to pray and we do our part to educate ourselves so that when the blessings come, we're ready for the blessing. Do you have anything?
No, not right offhand.
With that being said, we do have some people that want to cancel, and that's okay. If you are one of those people and you want to cancel, the process for that is going to be, we're going to put up a cancellation form onto our website tomorrow. You'll be able, and we'll also pin it into Telegram. If anyone wants to cancel their paperwork, it's a $10 fee, just simply because we have to do another envelope, further printing, and all of that to cancel everything out. And then you'll sign off on that, and we'll sign off on that, and we'll submit your paperwork back to you by mail so that everything is canceled out. So if that's the step that you want to go, that'll be the process for canceling. You'll just go online to the website. You'll be able to pull the form. You'll be able to fill that out, and then we'll take care of getting everything voided out and sent back to you.
Before we get into the educational stuff, disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. We are not attorneys nor financial advisors. So we do not offer any legal advice or financial advice. So, you know, please make sure if that's what you're looking for, to seek somebody that actually gives you that advice. And before she gets going, I'm sorry, I don't remember where I put the piece of paper, because I was going to thank this individual, but I got a spoon, or yeah, I guess it's spoon, spatula. I do cook a lot, so thank you very much. I will find the piece of paper and actually send you an email to thank you for it, but I do appreciate it.
Trying to think if there's anything else. If anyone's using my personal email, because my Zelle account is linked to my personal email, unless I've personally given that email to you, I'm not going to answer from there. I'm going to forward everything to Jarrett Realty Investors, because I need to clean up that. I can't have my personal email being bogged down with this process. So if you're asking 1099 questions or anything like that, please send it to Jarrett Realty Investors at gmail.com. Please don't use my Tara Jarrett Realtor account. I have some real estate transactions that are, in depth right now going on, and that's bogging that down. So I'm going to start forwarding everything to Jarrett Realty Investors so that I can clean up what I have to take care of on those two emails with other things, because we have a specific one that we've asked for everyone to use. And that's where those answers will come from. If you're interested in Operation Improve Health, finding out more about this silver and this precious metals and things like that, or if you're interested in finding out the product company that we work with or have partnered with for shopping American products, non-toxic, you're going to go to our website and fill out a form, and it'll say that you're interested in Operation Improve Health, or you're interested in only silver, or you're interested in both. We're doing some frequent Zooms on both. We have Zoom meetings set up for this week. We're setting up more for this week on both of them, and you're going to be getting emails to let you know when those are coming. So if you haven't invested in silver and you don't see the shift in some things that are going on, I encourage you to really look into it, because it's not just necessarily about that. There's options to, if the banking system goes down, there's options to move your money over. There's options for your 401k. If you're losing money in the stock market, there's options for you other than just purchasing precious metals. So I really encourage you to look into it and to take it seriously where the currency is going, because we have some pretty insightful people that know what's going on behind the scenes, and we all know what real money is. It's gold and silver backed. And if we go back to the Republic, which I believe we are by this time next year, beginning of next year, I really encourage you to take a look at it if you haven't already. The non-toxic products, I highly encourage you to take a look at that too. And just kind of go from there. But that's where you'll go. You'll go to the website at jarrettrealtyinvestors.com, and you'll have a drop-down link of what you're interested in, and then we can add you to those Zoom invitations so that you can be a part of that if you want to. Status corrections we're still working on. We're working very hard to get caught up on them. So if you want to, and let me explain to you, I know a lot of you are like, how do they have the time for status corrections? Well, let me tell you how you're going to be helping us help you. Not only are we helping you by getting that paperwork done for you to be able to expatriate from the fraud that was placed against you, and to put you back on the land and soil, common law, God-given law jurisdiction. Not only are we helping you when we do that process, but you're also helping us, because we added that to our plate so that we could sustain our livelihood, because a lot of people on here have forgotten that we aren't getting paid until the end of this. And no funds have come in, and we've been doing this since April, so I have a choice to make. I either can offer status corrections and work on that process for you, and then add the SPC process too. Later, I'm going to get caught up with status corrections first. Or I can go show houses all day in real estate, and I can work my real estate business, and I can work on 1099As whenever I have time. And I've committed to you guys to do this full time to help the people. So by you getting your status corrected with us, it's not adding more to our plate. It's actually helping us sustain our livelihood so that we can be here and work on paperwork all day, instead of going out showing houses all day and half of the night, and then coming home and working through the night to do what we can to help the people. So I hope that clarifies with you guys why we're doing some of the things that we're doing extra. It's not because, it's not because of any other reason, except that we want to be able to help you, and in the process we're helping you and you're helping us. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I think that's it. We're going to go into, I want to give a testimony as to what happened with me this past week. And then we're going
before you start, the email address is already pinned at the top along with the website, guys. So I pinned that actually to begin the thing. It's a blue bar at the very top. So email address and website are pinned. If you're interested in learning about the silver precious metals investing option, you're going to go to the website and fill out the little form in there, and it will send us an email. And I know there's a lot of people that have sent. Some of this stuff you have to do in small groups or one-on-one. So that's why it takes a little bit more time for us to work through it. So both with the non-toxic products and with the precious metals investing, we have to do small groups, and then we can actually we do that, and then we kind of do one-on-one with people if they're interested in knowing more about it. So it does take a little bit of time working through that, but so be patient with that aspect of everything.
But we have some admins too that are helping us in that process. So, and we have some people with the precious metal company that's helping us with that process too. So it's not just Drew and I taking on a bunch of extra stuff necessarily. We have help with that. So
the other thing that I wanted to say is this right here, every day is full when I go to the post office. So when people are asking, did you get my mail? Did you get my packet? I mean, normally it's anywhere between 50 and 100, 150 or more that go in this, depending on the size of the packets. So it's every single day that I go. I don't control the mail. Tara doesn't control the mail. We can't help it if they're not scanning your products. If you would send them certified with a green card return receipt, I am signing every one of those. I spend 2 hours every day at the post office signing green cards, picking up the mail, because I have to stand in line to get the mail because they can't put it all in the PO box. So just know that we are working through that.
we are streamlining it too. So there's two. So we have about six.
What?
About 6 moving boxes full of mail, but we are streamlining that and we're putting everything into a spreadsheet, and we're going to share that with all 29 of our admins, so that don't ask them now because that's not going to happen this week, but hopefully sometime by next week we'll get caught up on all of those into the database. And then if you're asking for something for a reason other than just curious, because curious is we're waiting on funds to come in and we're going to send an email when your paperwork is sent out. But they'll have access to that too, to be able to look and help us streamline this a little bit better. But for right now, as we process paperwork, you'll get an email, it'll be sent, and then, yeah. So now I want to, are you done?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is I've seen just right off the bat, Chris is doing fine. We talk by text at least once a week, and not about a whole lot, guys. I mean, we just check up on each other, whatever. If I have a question, I'll ask him. I saw somebody asking about whatever percentage that he's doing. I don't know. I don't get into all of that with him.
Well, we're just not going to share what he confidentially shares it with us. That's not our place.
But somebody was asking about he's taking a percentage of something. So I don't even know, because we don't get into all of that. I mean, what he does and what he has going on with some other people is his business.
Like we actually just check up on each other as friends. We don't talk business really.
So unless there's something that needs to be talked about business-wise, and then we get on the phone and have long conversations with that. But other than that, I don't know what he's doing with other individuals. We don't share all of that information.
Yeah. So if you don't have notebook paper, a sheet of paper to write down some notes on, you might want to grab some real fast while I give this testimony from what happened with me this past week. So I went to visit my grandbaby, and on my way back home, I was driving down the road, and I saw a police officer come in to enter from the feeder road onto the freeway. And it was a 55 zone, and I was going a little over 55. I don't even know what I was going, but not that much over, but I was going over. So he stopped me, which I figured he was, and I was kind of like, yay, I get to check out my paperwork and see how that's working. So, so as I pulled over in the little drop slide of your car where everything falls when you don't want it to and you can't reach it, that's where I keep my paperwork. In a brown envelope. And I pulled out my documents and I had them in my lap with my authenticated birth certificate and all of my status correction documents. And he came over to the window and said, he looked at my registration first and my inspection sticker, and it was expired because I can't, sorry, but I'm not renewing, sorry, not sorry. Not renewing that because that's entering into another contract with the corporation that I'm not willing to enter into because I have a right to travel, which we're going to go over. And then he said that I was, going over the speed limit in a 55. I don't think he quoted the speed. And he asked me for my insurance and driver's license. And he asked me also, what do you have in your lap there? And I said, I'm an American national. I have my American national paperwork and I have my authenticated birth certificate. And he said, are you going to hand that to me? And I said, that depends on where we're going with the traffic stop. And he said, no, ma'am, you can keep that and you're free to go. So the paperwork definitely works in those situations. And that's why I was saying last time we had a live and I was talking about correcting your status and why it's important. You don't have to have it done to do a 1099A because a 1099A has been done by corporations for years, for many, many years. It's a public document, but it helps you in those types of situations. And there's power in your paperwork. Okay. Having paperwork to back up who you are is powerful. And without that ammunition, you have nothing but stating who you are, but there's nothing expatriating you from what has entrapped you and enslaved you into their system, which is the birth certificate. And if it's not authenticated, which I feel like is your most important thing to do, because it's your highest authority to be able to say that I'm a living person, I'm a living soul and not a dead entity, then for those reasons, I think that it's very important to expatriate from the fraud that was placed against you and your mom or you and your children by not giving us full transparency when we sign our kids over. If you look at some of the birth certificates, not all of them, but some of them, if you look at the bottom and you want to just confirm some of the things that I'm saying, look at your birth certificate. It's a bond. For those of you that are new here, it's a bond. Depending on when you were born, it's an E-bond or an EE or, but it's definitely a bond. And it has your account number at the top. And if it doesn't, mine didn't, my original didn't, but Vital Statistics sent me one and it had my full number at the top. But if you look at the birth certificate, your mother's name is her maiden name. Your father's name is still on there. And if you look at the bottom, the signature of the mom is the informant. Not always, but in many cases, it is the informant. And that's basically saying that you're informing the government that you signed your child over. So when you do that, and you're signed over, enslaved into their corporate system, the only way out of it is to expatriate from what was fraudulent done against you. So bringing you back to common law jurisdiction, which is the law of the land, which is your God-given, what's wrong?
I'm just reading.
Which is your God-given inalienable rights to live on the land and soil jurisdiction, and the law that you abide by are the 10 Commandments, God's law. Okay, not statute law, because there's common law in this country and there's statute law in this country. Common law is what God intended us to live under. Statutory law is man-made law, and it's null and void because we go by the Constitution of 1787. Never has the Constitution, the original, been overruled. Anything that does not align with the Constitution of 1787 is null and void because those are amendment and statutes that have no, that were man-made. So, anyway, with that said, the paperwork does work, and that's why that we have it. So look into some of those things on your birth certificate, learn about the birth certificate, get your long form birth certificate authenticated. It's your highest level of authority to say that you are living and not a dead entity, because they consider you a dead entity with a corporate name until you do that. So, and then based on what I just told you and my testimony as to the paperwork working, I want to go into your constitutional rights to travel and how these apply, because I could tell you that I called my sister after it happened, who listens but doesn't believe anything that I really say. I called her and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that my paperwork worked, because I'm trying to wake them up, just like all of us are trying to wake somebody up. I thought that might help. So I called her and I said, hey, my paperwork worked. I just wanted you to know that it's for real. I'm not crazy. And she used to work for 911 in a county here in Texas. She called some of her police friends, and they told her I was crazy and that I must have gotten a rookie cop, and I didn't. I got one that actually knew what he knew that he did not want to touch my authenticated birth certificate. So anyway, it's a fight. We're still, in the fight. I'm still trying to wake up family members. So you're not alone. If that's what, if you're having the same problems, I'm still having the same problems, and they don't even know I'm on here doing this. So imagine the level of crazy then. Anyway, I want you to take notes, if you will. And I want to go through court cases regarding the right to travel. And I also want to point out a court case, a Supreme Court case that has for sure never been overruled, and it's used in almost every court case that there is. If you'll just bear with me for a sec. Where is it?
While she's looking for that, I just want to point out, somebody in the chat just said that they had their mortgage canceled. So that's great.
Okay, I want to read a couple of things to you, and then I'm going to get into the right to travel. So the general rule is that an unconstitutional statute, okay, so unconstitutional statute means anything that is not from 1787. If we're talking about the amended Constitution, or we're talking about a statutory law, we're unconstitutional statute. So,
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so the general rule is that an unconstitutional statute, though having the form and name of law, is in reality no law. but is wholly void and ineffective for any purpose, since unconstitutionality dates from the time of its enactment and not merely from the date of the decision so branding it. An unconstitutional law in legal contemplation is as inoperative as if it had never been passed. An unconstitutional law is void. It imposes no duty, confers no rights, creates no office, bestows no power or authority on anyone, affords no protection, and justifies no acts performed under it. An unconstitutional law cannot repeal or supersede any existing valid law. An unconstitutional statute cannot repeal or in any way affect an existing one. The general principles stated above apply to the Constitution as well as the laws of the several states, insofar as they are repugnant to the Constitution of the United States, and that's Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S. 137, 1803. Will you put that in there? Because this one court case applies to every child support case. It applies to every statute law. It has never been overturned or overruled by the Supreme Court. No court has ever overruled that. And the Supreme Court has never overruled that. That Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S. 137, 1803 still stands true in every case. I know that because I use it in child support stuff. So I use it in all of the ticket. When we fight anything statute, I put Marbury versus Madison in every single one of them. So, and then we're going to go through some court cases regarding your right to travel. So people just know that whenever you go to the DMV and get your driver's license, it's an all caps name. It's a bond. You don't have to have one. The Constitution of 1787 says that you have the right to travel without a license by automobile. It also says that we don't have to have a license, which almost every industry now has to have a license of some sort. But the original Constitution says we are allowed to do a trade. We're not going to get into all that tonight. We're going to get into right to travel. But anytime that you have a license, you're contracting with a corporation. And when you contract, they own you. Bottom line, if they give you a privilege to have a driver's license or a real estate license or a medical license or a chiropractic license or a dental license or anything like that, if they give you a license, they can also take the license away because they hold the right to it. So when we contract, and I'm guilty of it, I have a real estate license, but when we contract, we're giving over our rights and our freedoms that they can in turn turn around and take away from us because they own those rights under statute law. So, okay, let's go through court cases regarding the right to travel. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon by horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right, which he has under his right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Under this constitutional guarantee, one may therefore, under normal conditions, travel at his inclination along the public highways or in public places, and while conducting himself in an orderly and decent manner, neither interfering with nor disturbing another rights, he will be protected not only in his person, but in his safe conduct. And that is Thompson versus Smith, 154 SE 579, 11 American Jurisprudence, Constitutional Law, Section 329, page 1135. So if you've been stopped and you're dealing with traffic tickets right now, there's your Supreme Court case, and Drew's putting it up. This is just one of them. We're going through several, so bear with me here. I think that this is important for y'all to understand, especially if you're fighting court cases. Or travel court cases, or tickets or any of that. So the right of the citizen to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon in the ordinary course of life and business is a common right, which he has under the right to enjoy life and liberty, to acquire and possess property, and to pursue happiness and safety. It includes the right in so doing to use the ordinary and usual conveyances of the day. And under the existing modes of travel includes the right to drive a horse-drawn carriage or wagon thereon, or to operate thereon for the unusual and ordinary purposes of life and business. Okay, though some of us might want to jump on a horse and drive with the gas prices. We have that right too if we want. But that was Thompson versus Smith, Supra Tech Lines versus Danforth, Mississippi 12 S2D 784. Now Drew's putting all of these up, so if you want to take note and read over them later, this is just ammunition for you. The right of the citizen to drive on a public street with freedom from police interference is a fundamental constitutional right. Under White, as in WHITE, 97, Cal at 3D, 141, 158, Cal Report 562, 566 to 67 of 1979. White.
Okay, I'll fix it.
Okay, citizens have a right to drive upon the public streets of the District of Columbia or in any other city absent a constitutionally sound reason for limiting their access. So citizens have a right to drive upon the public streets of even the District of Columbia or any other city absent a constitutionally sound reason for limiting their access. Now, here's the deal. If you're going to go out and you're going to get hammered and drive, you have the potential to do bodily harm. That's different. Because under the 10 Commandments, under common law, that's what we abide by. And if you harm an individual or have the tendency to inflict harm on an individual, that's looked at a little bit differently, and you're going to have a little bit of a harder time getting out of that if you've injured someone. But if you're just driving down the roads, you have the right to do that without a license, without a registration.
So, yeah, citizens put a question mark, but this is actually stating citizens have a right to drive upon the public streets of D.C. So they are citizens in D.C. Remember that. But
it says it throughout.
Yeah.
I know that citizen.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't.
All of the, I'm reading the actual. I'm reading the actual cases, and this is how the cases read. So I don't agree with the citizen word either, but I'm reading how it reads to you. So. And that was, okay. So the use of the automobile as a necessary adjunct to the earning of a livelihood in modern life requires us, in the interest of realism, to conclude that the right to use an automobile on the public highways, hang on a second, partakes of the nature of a liberty within the meaning of the constitutional guarantees. I wouldn't put this one, just this one.
Just the top one?
Mm-hmm. Okay, the right to operate a motor vehicle, an automobile, Because under common law, it's not a vehicle. A vehicle is registered. An automobile is your common law, God-given right to travel, and it's your property. That's where we went over that one time, that one word makes a difference. A vehicle is registered, an automobile is your property. So the right to operate a motor vehicle, an automobile, upon the public streets and highways is not a mere privilege. It is a right of liberty, the enjoyment of which is protected by the guarantees of the federal and state constitutions. That's that one. Adams versus some of these names. Pocatello. I'll let Drew put it up so that you have it. I'm probably going to also put all of these court cases onto a document and upload it into the website and upload it into Telegram so that y'all can copy from there too, because he's having a hard time too keeping up. So I can make a Word doc that has all of this in there so you can study by it on your own if you want to do that instead.
Okay.
A traveler has an equal right to employ an automobile as a means of transportation and to occupy the public highways with other vehicles in common use. That's Campbell versus Walker. The owner of an automobile has the same right as the owner of other vehicles to use the highway. A traveler on foot has the same right to the use of the public highways as an automobile or any other vehicle. So again, the owner of an automobile has the same right as the owner of other vehicles to use the highway. So an owner of an automobile under common law has the same right as someone that has registration and a driver's license. A traveler on foot has the same right to the use of the public highways as an automobile or any other vehicle. So the right of the citizen to drive on the public street with freedom from police interference, again, freedom from police interference, unless he is engaged in suspicious conduct associated in some manner with criminality, is a fundamental constitutional right which must be protected by the courts. People versus Horton. The right to make use of an automobile as a vehicle of travel along the highways of the state is no longer an open question. The owners thereof have the same rights in the roads and streets as the drivers of horses or those riding a bicycle or traveling in some other vehicle. House versus Kramer. Also, Farnsworth versus Tampa Electric Company. The automobile may be used with safety to other users of the highway, and in its proper use upon the highways, there is an equal right with the users of other vehicles properly upon the highways. The law recognizes such right of use upon general principles. Brinkman versus Pacholik or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the names. The law does not denounce motor carriages as such on public highways. They have an equal right with other vehicles in common use to occupy the streets and roads. It is improper to say that the driver of the horse has rights in the roads superior to the driver of the automobile. Both have the right to use the easement. Indiana Springs Company versus Brown. A highway is a public way, open and free to anyone who has occasion to pass along it on foot or with any kind of vehicle. There can be no question of the right of automobile owners to occupy and use the public streets of cities or highways in the rural districts. Liebrecht versus Crandall. The word automobile connotes a pleasure vehicle designed for the transportation of persons on highways. American Mutual Liability Insurance Company versus Chaput, 60. The term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways. The term used for commercial purposes means the carriage of persons or property for any fare, fee, rate, charge, or other consideration, or directly or indirectly in connection with any business or other undertaking intended for profit. Motor Vehicle 18 USC, Part 1, Chapter 2, Section 31. Again, Motor Vehicle 18 USC, Part 1, Chapter 2, Section 31. A motor vehicle or automobile for hire is a motor vehicle other than an automobile stage used for the transportation of persons for which remuneration is received. International Motor Transit Company versus Seattle, 251, page 120. The term motor vehicle is different and broader than the word automobile. City of Dayton versus Debros 23, NE 2D 647 and 650. Thus, self-driven vehicles are classified according to the use to which they are put rather than according to the means by which they are propelled. The Supreme Court in Arthur versus Morgan held that carriages were properly classified as household effects, and we see no reason that automobiles should not be similarly disposed of. Hillhouse versus United States, 152F. Okay. A citizen has the right to travel upon the public highways and to transport his property thereon. State versus Johnson, 243. Also, Cummins versus Holmes, 155. Packard versus Banton. Hadfield versus London. Willis versus Buck, 263. Barney versus Board of Railroad Commissioner, 17. I mean, all of these are Supreme Court cases in your favor. This is all of your ammunition on anyone that says that you don't have the right to travel without a license in an automobile on the highways with registration. So the use of the highways for the purpose of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and the individual cannot be rightfully deprived. Chicago Motor Coach versus Chicago. Also, Lagar versus Chicago. Boone versus Clark. The right of the citizen to travel upon the highway and to transport his property hereon in the ordinary course of life and business is the usual and ordinary right of the citizen, a right common to all. Dickey versus Davis. Every citizen has an unalienable right to make use of the public highways of the state. Every citizen has full freedom to travel from place to place in the enjoyment of life and liberty. People versus Nathos, I guess. 147 of Colorado, 210. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, nor waterways, transporting his vehicles and personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subject only to local regulation, safety caution, traffic lights, speed limits, etc. Travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. Chicago, this one's important. Chicago Coach Company versus City of Chicago. Again, I'm going to read that one again. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, nor waterways, transporting his vehicles and personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subject only to local regulation, safety caution, traffic lights, speed limits, etc. Travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. Chicago versus Coach Company versus City of Chicago. Traffic violations are not a crime. People versus battle. Again, traffic violations are not a crime. People versus battle. Persons faced with an unconstitutional licensing law which purports to require a license as a prerequisite to exercise of right may ignore the law and engage with impunity in exercise of such right. Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, 394 U.S. 147, 1969.
I mean, I don't know if you want to address that.
I can get what?
Do you need a special license plate? Somebody said a good question about the plates.
You can get, go ahead.
I mean, there are some people I've seen that have made their own plates. Because if you're still using the plates that you get when you register a car, I mean, you're technically still in their system.
Well, yeah, because you contracted to register.
So you can actually remove those plates and put your own private plates on there. You would actually want to notify the sheriff, let them know that you're private and these are your plates. This is your information. And they don't have the right to stop you or to detain you. So you definitely need to go out and look and do some research on all of that, because there's a lot of good information on how to protect yourself.
I don't know if Gregory's on here, but if you're on here, if you want to drop the website to where you can get plates. I don't know if Gregory's on here, but if he is, if not, I'll get it to you, because there is a place that you can order them from. And
there's also a lot of online private plates. I mean, I've seen a lot of good ones, guys. To make sure you have certain UCC codes on there, your right to travel. So do not detain.
Yeah. Okay. The word operator shall not include any person who solely transports his own property and who transports no persons or property for hire or compensation. So statutes at large, California, chapter 412, page 83. Highways are for the use of the traveling public, and all have the right to use them in a reasonable and proper manner. The use thereof is an inalienable right of every citizen. Escobedo versus State 35, C2D 870. I'll try to get all of these. I know somebody asked when can I get these up? I type really fast, so I can get them up probably later, either tonight or tomorrow.
If it was going to be me, next week.
Yeah.
I'm very slow.
I'll get them up most likely tomorrow, because it's going to be late when we get off of here. So I'll get them up tomorrow and into Telegram, and we'll pin them in the chat channel, and I'll put them on the website. So just keep an eye in the library of the website. Okay, right. We don't have much more to go, but let's just continue on, and hopefully this is educational, and hopefully it's helping some of you. Because I know a lot of people didn't really understand all of this, so now you have some ammunition. Right, a legal right, a constitutional right, means a right protected by the law, by the Constitution. But government does not create the idea of right or original rights. It acknowledges them. Bovier's Law Dictionary, 1914, page 2961. Those who have the right to do something cannot be licensed for what they already have the right to do. As such, license would be meaningless. City of Chicago versus Collins, 51. A license means leave to do a thing which the licensor could prevent. Blatt's Brewing Company versus Collins. The object of a license is to confer a right or power which does not exist without it. Payne versus Massey, 119. The court makes it clear that a license relates to qualifications to engage in profession, business, trade, or calling. Thus, when merely traveling without compensation or profit outside a business enterprise or adventure with the corporate state, no license is required of the natural individual traveling for personal business, pleasure, and transportation. Wingfield versus Fielder, 2D. If state officials construe a vague statute unconstitutionally, the citizen may take them at their word and act on the assumption that the statute is void. Statute, I think they meant. Shuttlesworth versus Birmingham, 394 U.S. 147 of 1969. With regard particularly to the U.S. Constitution, it is elementary that a right secured or protected by that document cannot be overthrown or impaired by any state police authority. Donnelly versus Union Sewer Pipe Company, 184. And then there's a few others. So, the right to travel, called the right of free ingress to other states and egress from them, is so fundamental that it appears in the Articles of Confederation, which governed our society before the Constitution. Paul versus Virginia. The right to travel freely from state to state is a right broad, assertable against private interference as well as governmental action. Like the right of association, it is a virtually unconditional personal right guaranteed by the Constitution to us all. U.S. Supreme Court, Shapiro versus Thompson. That is in a lot of court cases as well and has never been overturned. None of these have ever been overturned, but that's definitely another one that's in a lot of cases that I've seen. The right to travel freely from state to state is a right broad, assertable against private interference as well as governmental action. Like the right of association, it is a virtually unconditional personal right guaranteed by the Constitution to all of us. I'm almost done.
Okay. I mean, whatever. I was just looking. I didn't realize.
Edgerton, Chief Judge. Iron curtains have no place in a free world. Undoubtedly, the right of locomotion, the right to remove from one place to another according to inclination, is an attribute of personal liberty, and the right ordinarily of free transit from or through the territory of any state is a right secured by the Constitution. Williams versus Fears. Our nation has thrived on the principle that outside areas of plainly harmful conduct, every American is left to shape his own life as he thinks best, do what he pleases, go where he pleases. The validity of restrictions on the freedom of movement of particular individuals, both substantively and procedurally, is precisely the sort of matter that is the peculiar domain of the courts. Comment 61 Yale IJ at page 182, or 187, sorry. A person detained for an investigatory stop can be questioned, but is not obligated to answer. Answers may not be compelled, and refusal to answer furnishes no basis for an arrest. I just want to repeat that because there's a lot of people that stand up for their rights and get harassed. A person detained for an investigatory stop can be questioned, but is not obligated to answer. Answers may not be compelled, and refusal to answer furnishes no basis for an arrest. Justice White Hybe. Automobiles have the right to use the highways of the state on an equal footing with other vehicles. Cumberland Telephone and Telegraph Company versus Yiser, 141 Kentucky, 15. Each citizen has the absolute right to choose for himself the mode of conveyance he desires, whether it be by wagon or carriage, by horse, motor, or electric car, or by bicycle, or astride of a horse, subject to the sole condition that he will observe all those requirements that are known as the law of the road. Swift versus City of Topeka, 43. The Supreme Court said an administrative regulation, of course, is not a statute. U.S. versus Mirsky, 1960. A traveler on foot has the same right to use of the public highway as an automobile or any other vehicle. Automotive vehicles are lawful means of conveyance and have equal rights upon the streets with horses and carriages. Automobiles are lawful vehicles and have equal rights on the highways, and that's just same thing over and over with the same different ones. I'll put them all in there in the form or document when I do it. A farmer has the same right to use of the highways of the state, whether on foot or in a motor vehicle, as any citizen. And persons may lawfully ride in automobiles as they may lawfully ride on bicycles. All right, so there's those. That's all of them.
So I'm just going to answer the toll road question that
it's statutory.
That I keep saying. All toll roads are statutory laws, guys. I mean, you can do like I do, just drive through them. They send me a bill, just send it back. I'm not really worried about it. There's nothing that they can actually do to you. I mean,
we actually stamp it.
They suspend my driver's license. Who cares? I mean, honestly, we stamp it with the except for value, send it back in. So, you know, what are they going to really do to you? Because I don't need the driver's license. They can't arrest me for anything. So,
well, if they do, they're over. Here's your ammunition. If you quote some Supreme Court cases, then you can ask them, so you are overriding the Supreme Court. And I would highly encourage, if you have your cell phone with you, given the evilness that we deal with, I would record what is being said so that you have, backup to what you're saying. But I would, that's another reason why, if you have all of your documents, your authenticated birth certificate, whatever you have in your car, I would absolutely put the court cases and the main ones on the front of the envelope in case you get nervous and can't remember them, and say, okay, well, so that means you're overruling the Supreme Court, Marbury versus Madison, you're overruling, and then I would start naming some of these court cases, because then you're acting as a Supreme Court. And you're putting them on the spot. But we have to know how to talk in order to put them where they need to be placed, because a lot of them are on a power trip. Not all of them. The one I got wasn't. He knew what he needed to do, thankfully, and we had a nice conversation. It wasn't a problem at all. But they work for you at the end of the day.
So, I mean, and I don't remember where it was. I did read about this in one of the files that was dropped somewhere. I don't remember exactly where now, but if you don't have if your license is suspended, you are not a licensee. Therefore, you're not in their jurisdiction for them to be able to do anything to you. So if you don't have a license or your license is suspended, you're not a licensee anymore. So therefore, there's nothing they can do to you when you're traveling. So parking tickets, you need to just turn it over on the back. I do not contract. I can't think of
Do not consent, or you can stamp except for value. Do you want to go show them our stamp?
Get it. And then sign it with your beneficiary signature.
Sign everything with your beneficiary signature, everything with the UCC 1-308. If you haven't put UCC 1-308 underneath your signature of your driver's license, if you're still carrying it, then I encourage you to do that, because that's showing that all of your rights are reserved without prejudice. So hang on just a second. Okay. Also I want to share this with you too. The communists had a 40-year plan to take over America. I don't know if y'all know this, but those that don't, here we go. The communists had a 40-year plan to take over America through deception and infiltration from within. That was in the early 1950s. So their plan was to be complete by the early 90s. And here are some of the points of the plan that were told. They wanted to infiltrate the education system of America from grammar school to universities and teach socialism, which is very close to communism, in a favorable light. To infiltrate the seminaries of America, to infiltrate each state's legislature and state agencies, and eventually the governorships, to infiltrate the U.S. Congress and their staffs, to infiltrate all the federal agencies and promote heavy government regulation and rules, to promote socialist and communist legislation in Congress, to infiltrate the U.S. military, to infiltrate all intelligence agencies, to pass legislation that causes a graduated tax system that destroys incentive and capitalism, to gradually destroy the currency of America by printing money and creating a massive national debt which cannot be paid back. If you want to read more about the communist agenda, I recommend the book Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen.
Can I do this with my work, man? I'm self-employed. That's a trade. You're not working for a corporation. You're self-employed. That is your business. That is a trade. So yes, you can use it. Do the same thing. Now, if you're working for Amazon or you're working for Uber, Lyft, any company that you have to drive a vehicle, yes, you're going to have a driver's license to be able to operate
commercial vehicles. But let me touch on that a little bit. If you're driving for UPS, Amazon, FedEx, or any other truck, if you're a truck driver for any other corporation, you are held under commercial statutes while on the job, but not while operating your own personal vehicle or automobile. Okay? Because once you're off the clock and you're in your car, common law applies. You're only subject to that when you're on the clock in that commercial vehicle.
Oh, I had somebody text me this question and wanted you to touch on it real fast.
Yeah, anybody that's not on Telegram that can't get on there for some reason or don't know how to use Telegram or download it or whatever, you can go to our website. All of this is on our website too.
So this is our except for value stamp. I don't know if you can see it. I know it has a glare. There you go. That is what we put on all of our stuff.
Mm-hmm. Maybe better to stamp it on something. Hold it up. Let me see here.
Nah.
Yeah. Is that better? That's what it looks like.
Mashi's holding that up. Does the ebook give instructions on how to authenticate the birth certificate? No, it does not. There's probably some stuff in Telegram if you were in the Telegram channel. that will actually give you some steps on how to authenticate the birth certificate. There's a question. I know there's people that have been asking, so we'll just address this real quick. Does changing my status eliminate SSDI?
No, it doesn't. Some of the documents, so here's some of the documents for peaceful inhabitants and stuff like that do say that you're going to waive your benefits, but if we know, so I have an intake form that I just revised asking you if you're receiving benefits now, and we'll take that part out for you so that doesn't apply. It's not meant to hurt you. It's meant to help you. So if we feel like there's a part of anything in the document that's going to help you, you can take it out. But if someone's not planning to ever get benefits or utilize any benefits, then by all means, keep it in there.
I'm going to pull this one out of a Chris Hauser page. If you're driving as an American national and get into an accident, how do you go about handling that? Give them a 1099-A. See if they'll take it. That's.
Let me tell you let me tell you some of the things that we're fighting against. Well, first of all, if we're talking about, since we're talking about driver's license, we'll just stay there. Okay. But, the only thing I don't know how to handle right this second is if you're needing to rent a car, they want a government issued ID. I don't know how that's going to work with a credential card. I don't see that something that Drew and I, because we rent cars when we have to travel. So that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out. But I'm not, that's something that I can't answer. But as far as sometimes we have to have our driver's license and hold it for identification purposes only because society doesn't understand what it means not to have one. And so the affidavit of sovereignty that I provide says that I continue to carry my driver's license for identification purposes only, that I do not contract with a corporation. But until there's another means for society to identify, here I am stuck, basically. In summary, same with a real estate license. Because with a real estate license, you can't, it's a money scheme, like I've said before. National Association of Realtors, you have to pay into that. And then you have to, if you're not a part of that, you can't be on the MLS. So they restrict you completely from doing the trade, because you could never list any houses anywhere except Zillow and maybe realtor.com. So they limit you on, and then no other realtor is going to show the property because it's not on the MLS. So there's a lot of things that are not constitutional that we have to figure out and fight. But, it's gradual and hopefully we'll go back to the Republic soon.
I'm going to address this real quick. Can you guys please do a video discussing Biden's executive order to change currency? I'm not worried about Biden's executive order to change currency, guys. None of Biden's executive orders are going to stand up. So that's one thing. If you want to prepare thinking something might happen, you need to invest in precious metals. Just being honest.
We're not saying that for our benefit.
No. I'm just being honest.
There's a lot of people saying that. Bitsware, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people talking about precious metals. And if you look at Trump's rally the other night, on Saturday night, when Trump did a rally, when he left the stage, there's no stars on the flag. The flag had silver and gold stripes. The man is very much about symbolism and, what am I trying to say? He's a poker player, okay? So, I'm a chess player, sorry, not poker, chess. So you have to read a lot of things, but gold and silver were the stripes on the flag when he left the stage the other night. If you don't believe me, go look. When he walked off, everything blacked out, which is a signal of blackout. If you're not prepared, I highly suggest you get prepared by Friday. There is a known false flag event that's supposed to happen on Saturday. We're hoping and praying that what they're predicting doesn't happen, because they're predicting what I've seen as an EMP. I don't know if hopefully white hats have control of that, but if not, there's a false flag event that they've been hiring for in the Kansas area and some other areas for nursing homes and things. I don't know if anything's going to come to pass about that, but please prepare for a blackout. They're predicting all things are going to black out.
So actually, guys, here's a thing with what we were talking about, and this actually does make sense to me after reading it. Renting a car is traveling in commerce, because you paid a company to use their vehicle under their umbrella. That's not common law, so that's a contract. So if you're going to rent vehicles, you're going to end up needing to have a driver's license on hand. So yeah, great point, capitalism, magnetism. So never thought about it that way. So, and as far as the accept for value stamp that we use, I'll take a picture of it. I'll drop it into Telegram. We can put it on the website so you can actually see it better. That way, I don't remember where we ordered it from. And one of the online companies, you can kind of make your own stamp how you want it to be. So,
yeah, if you have anyone locked up in prison that shouldn't be there, that's not like from a bodily injury from killing someone, stealing or trespassing or any of the 10 commandments, then really and truly, if you have power of attorney, if you're a parent or one of their heirs or something like that, you can go and get a long form birth certificate, send it off and get it authenticated, which I think would be very beneficial, because that's a bond that you can actually endorse and turn in to satisfy whatever fine you have to pay off or whatever.
I agree, David Monet. MMS is the new med. So
the med that would wipe out Big Pharma. So
yeah, I have the PDF of Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition too, and I was going to print it out, but when I saw the number of pages, I was like, I'll just read it from the. So yes, it is 2,000 plus pages. It's crazy, and I think the first 400 of it doesn't even get you to the A's. I have answered questions that I've seen posted. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, we can do it. Naturalization papers. We can do a status correction on naturalization. What did that say?
I don't know. Right here.
No. No, I think it was down.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yes, Jill.
You got to read the question, babe.
September 24th is the start of Rosh Hashanah. Hey, straight Southern. The high holy days for the Jews, and also the 25th would be the Jubilee, the biblical Jubilee, and possibly a blackout. So, however, you all need to start thinking.
So, yeah, I can tell you that the banking system, if something happens and you can't pull out your money and the ATM is not accessible, you need to have some cash on hand. You need to have some food and water. Just in case. Even if it doesn't happen, it's better to be prepared than be stuck and not have a means to get anything.
So, guys, I've dropped the Telegram link in the chat. It's highlighted with the yellow Jarrett Realty Investors. The admins have dropped it in the chat. You'll have to go back and find it. Once you go into the public chat, there's a way to get into the private chat. So,
everybody needs to be prepared. At least I don't know what's happening, but I would rather just announce, be prepared by Friday. I have through, the precious metals site that we're talking about, through that company, we have a means to move our money so that it's backed by gold and silver straight from our bank. Just a simple transfer. So if we feel like everything's going to shut down, we can pull our money over and take care of it so that we know it's backed by gold and silver, and not going to be just because your money as of right now in the 800-page document that you signed unknowingly to contract with the bank gives the government control, and the Federal Reserve, which is not a federal company, it gives them complete control over your account. So any money that you have in the bank, they have complete control over it. Yours and mine. So it's something to really think about and consider where your money is lying and whose hands it's lying in. If anybody wants to get their status corrected or has any questions about it, we have just put status correction in the subject line of an email in jarrettrealtyinvestors@gmail.com and send it to me, and I'll drop you what we need. I'm also going to upload the intake form into the website for the status correction stuff. All you have to do is fill out the intake form, send it to me. It's a $200 fee for anyone 18 or over. That's age of majority. They need to have it done if they're 18 or over to expatriate themselves. But if you have a baby under the age of 18, we throw in a baby deed for you for no charge. I mean, that's part of the package. So if you have a baby, you'll just list their information on the form, and then you'll submit your $200 payment, and I'll put all of the instructions on what I think this is a faster and better way to do it. I'll put all of the information that I send in an email onto the document that has all of the things that we need you to fill out, and then you can send it to us with the payment, and we'll get you going on it. And if you're interested in MMS, we have, I can put that into the website too, actually, and that way you have information on it. I think that'll be easier for me to do it that way. And we'll put everything will be under the library tab in our website.
So I know people are asking to drop the link for the precious metals. We talked about that earlier. We have to actually do calls with you guys on the precious metals. I mean, we can do a Zoom call, then we have to do kind of one-on-one if you're interested in signing up. It's not something that I can actually just drop a link in because it really needs to be explained with the company that we actually use. So if you go to our website, you can actually fill out the page,
it's just going to ask for your name, your email address, your phone number, the time zone that you live in, and then what you're interested in, whether it be Operation Improve Health, non-toxic products or the precious metals, you have the option to get on either, or you can do both. You have the option to pick both if you're interested in both. We're going to have Zoom links. We'll send out invites to everyone so that you can hop on the Zoom. I know for a fact we're having one Thursday.
We have a Thursday Zoom for the precious metals. I know that. Don't remember the time right offhand. I think
5:30,
it was like
I think.
5 or 5:30 Central Time. And then, you know, we can jump on a call right after. If you've already been in some of those and you are interested, you know, in getting into it, reach back out. You know, if you need to get a little more information about it, reach back out and we'll get on a call with you on that. So, if you are interested in what MMS is, send us an email, put MMS in the information in the subject line, and we will send you out some information about it, plus a video that's very informative on the MMS. So, all right, guys, well, we got to jump off of here. So
let's close out in prayer, and thank you for joining us. Sorry it took a little bit longer, but hope that it helped. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time together. Thank you for speaking to us and helping us to understand a little bit better on some things that you would want us to know. Lord Jesus, I pray that you would protect all of us, prepare us for whatever is coming. If there's dark days ahead, Lord Jesus, may we see that coming and know that you have us, that you have warned us, and that we are protected, and that in the end you win, regardless of what that means right now. We know that you're in complete control, and we trust in you, and we thank you. Help us to just go out in this dark world and again be lights to other people, and help us to shine brightly to those that need us. In Jesus' name.
All right, guys, y'all have a great night. And we will be back with you guys in the next week or so.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.